all colleges have ghosts, legends that have grown up around some supernatural occurrence that generations of students tell to each other. That ghost organist that plays at Judson College, that poor girl at the University of Montevallo who years ago caught her clothing afire while she was cooking chocolate candy over a forbidden smudge pot of some kind in her room. They say you still hear her screaming and can smell her hair burning way up in main dormitory, what they call buzzard. And then those unfortunate Yankee soldiers who were shot and killed at the University of Alabama, at Jason's Shrine, the Roundhouse. All over Alabama you find these ghost tales. But the finest of those ghost stories, those college ghost stories, is told here at Huntington College in Montgomery. I came here as a freshman a long time ago, uneasy and a little bit homesick and wanting some security and some reassurance. And what I got was the story of the Red Lady, the ghostly former student who walks the halls late at night on the 4th floor of Pratt Hall. And I don't know how many generations of students at Huntington have heard about the Red Lady. It's really a very pitiful kind of story. This girl, so they say, reared in New York, very wealthy parents, went to the finest finishing schools. Came time for her to go to college, and her father demanded that she come back to Alabama to go to school. His mother had graduated from Tuskegee, from Alabama Conference Female College at Tuskegee. And he thought that his daughter should carry on the tradition of attending this Methodist institution of higher learning. So against her wishes, she was packed off and sent down to Montgomery, where the original college had moved. Came here, the Woman's College of Alabama, and then later Huntington. She was different from the very beginning. Not only did she talk funny, had a very pronounced Yankee accent, she was dressed in a different manner. And having been brought up in Yankee surroundings, she perhaps lacked some of the graciousness and the courtesy that in those days marked Southern women. And when they brought her trunk out of this dormitory out here to Pratt Hall and unpacked it, the curious girls who peeped in the door were a little bit taken aback to see that everything she had brought to furnish her room was in red. She had a red rug on the floor, red bedspread, red curtains at the window, pictures with red on them in the wall, little figurines of red sitting around the room. The interesting thing, she had traveled widely and had brought things back from all over the world, and they were on display in her room. But it was all red. And they noticed that she herself dressed in red nearly all the time. But she had a roommate who thought it was kind of spooky and eerie that she just couldn't live with a girl like this, and she moved out after 2 or 3 days. The house mother moved another nice young girl in the room with her, and things seemed to be going well, but this poor Yankee student, whose name was Martha, the last name has been forgotten, Martha was not able to communicate with her well, and they did not make friends easily, and Martha rather resented all of these students who would come in just to look around at the things in the room, her collections of red objects. And this new roommate moved out. There was a succession of roommates. And finally, the house mother asked the president of the student body if she would mind living with Martha. And the girl said, well, no, she seems like a nice young woman, and maybe I'll learn something from her. She's so widely traveled, and I know she has things to tell us. And so she moved in with Martha, hoping to make friends with her. But that room sharing suffered the same fate. They were not happy together, and after a few days, the student body president packed up to move her things out. And as she was leaving, Martha came into the room and said to her, oh, you're just like all the rest of them, aren't you? You think I'm stuck up and a snob, and I'm so different you don't even try to get along with me. But I'll tell you one thing, you're going to be sorry you moved out of this room. You'll never forget this day. And so the poor girl lived in this room all alone, and she must have been very lonely. She was shy by nature, and perhaps it was this shyness that made people think she had a bit of a snob in her. But they say that in her loneliness, she would walk down the hall at night and open a door and peep in to find girls laughing and talking there. Their conversation and laughter would stop as soon as she opened the door. She would close it and go on, and then she would hear them laughing again, this time laughing at her. And this went on for a few weeks, and then one day Martha didn't appear for classes, and she didn't show up at any meals. And the house mother became concerned about her and sent a student up to see if she was all right. Thought perhaps she had a cold or didn't feel well and had taken to her bed. When the student got here, up on this 4th floor Pratt Hall, she noticed a red light coming out from under the door there and from over the transom, because these old dormitory rooms did have transoms. When she opened the door, she saw a sight that made her scream and faint, and other girls came running, and they found Martha lying on the floor there in a pool of blood. She was wrapped in her red bedspread. A red parasol was nearby. Her wrist had been slashed, and she bled to death here on this floor. And that's how the legend began. And it has continued through the years, and there's still sightings of the Red Lady here at Huntington. When people come in the summertime for band camps and cheerleader camps and American Legion-sponsored events, there's always someone who tells of seeing something in red, something, they're not sure what, in the vicinity of this room. And girls who live below here on the 3rd floor tell of hearing at night slow footsteps as though a sad young woman were pacing the halls. And in recent months, one night in this room, 4 seniors, girls who had grown up at Huntington and who were well acquainted with the story and who may have laughed about it, sitting here planning a party, a graduation party, near that time. The door was half open, and they were sitting on seats facing each other, and where they could all look out the half-open door. And as they were making plans for this party, they saw a shape go down the hall. They saw it as plainly as they've ever seen anything. And they know it must have been Huntington's Red Lady, perhaps wishing she had a part in those happy graduation festivities. Huntington's Red Lady, a wonderful college girl.